everyone, welcome back to the Luminary. I'm Monica.
And I'm Josie.
And we have a fun alien-centered topic today. Today we're going to talk about pre-Covenant lifestyles and societies and cultures of all of the species within the Covenant as we know it, which is about 8 or so at the moment, as far as we know.
About, yeah. We're notoriously bad at counting.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So we're going to go through all the Covenant species and just have like a quick little chat about what they were like before they joined the Covenant.
Yeah.
So the pre-Covenant Covenant species, you could say.
Yeah, exactly. And we're not going to go crazy in depth with everything because that would take a lot of hours for each species.
Yeah.
So yeah, like you said, just a quick overview. And we kind of will brush on prehistoric, like Forerunner era times.
If there's anything about them.
If there's anything. Yeah, exactly. But we also won't go too far in depth with like conservation measure and all that stuff.
Yeah. This is kind of like a prelude to future episodes where we talk about a specific species.
Yeah.
Kind of like the Hurugok episode we just put out. We thought it'd be fun to go and give a quick rundown of all the species, like, hey, where were they before they were in the Covenant?
Yeah, exactly. And I think we're going to do it in order of assimilation, just for kicks.
Yeah.
So, first up, the beautiful, sophisticated, and intelligent species that everyone knows and loves, the Sanshayum.
Those are the Didact's words, not ours.
Yeah, besotted with eternal sexuality and youth.
Yeah, apparently the prehistoric Forerunner era Sanshium were not exactly the old, crusty, geriatric prophets that we know today.
No.
And I kind of love how hilarious that is.
I do too. I remember hearing about that in the lore and kind of having my mind blown a little bit.
Yeah.
It was an adjustment period. I had to sit with this information for a bit.
It's a funny concept how that the prophets used to be very big on youth, big on being sexy and all that.
Mm-hmm. And one step further of a twist, the ancient Sanshayum were actually allies with ancient humanity.
Oh yeah.
They had many colonies and quite a realm of systems under their control. So yeah, it's just kind of funny. They're beautiful and they're friends with us. Wait, what?
And then they wouldn't.
And then they wouldn't be. Yeah. So, like I said, we were not going to get into too much prehistoric kind of Sanshayum stuff, but...
Yeah. Not a lot of the other Covenant species were terribly big players back in the day, during the Forerunner times. At least not that we know of yet. The Sanshium, the humans, and the Forerunners were kind of the biggest players on the stage at the time.
Yep.
Again, that we know of. It's very possible that Sangheli probably had their own thing going on, too.
Yeah.
But we don't know yet.
Yeah. So with the Sanshayum, before the Forerunners activated the Halo Array, the librarian was collecting specimens from every homeworld of the species to preserve.
Mm-hmm.
So the Sanshayum saw this as like a suspected... like something was going to happen.
Yeah, that was a big red flag.
Yeah, but there you go. It's a big red flag. Like, wait, what's going on? And so they kind of rebelled.
Why are you taking samples?
Yeah. They rebelled against the Forerunners. It was not long. I think it was pretty short rebellion, but they rebelled.
Yeah.
And our good old homie Faber decided to just
master builder.
decided to fire a Halo ring to put down their rebellion.
Yeah, don't give the Forerunners a convenient excuse to test out their new super weapon.
Yeah. It was a low power fire, so it scarred their planet pretty bad.
That was over Shroom Hakor, right? Was it Genderquam?
Genderquam.
I thought it was Shroom Hakor.
Well, they did that later, but
to
put down the Sanshayum rebellion, they fired a Halo, and Genderquam was pretty badly injured. So moving on from there, after the Halo Array was fired, they were reseeded back onto their homeworld, Genderquam. And there are a lot of Forerunner artifacts on this planet, so they kind of developed their religion around these artifacts, right?
Yeah, and one of the more notable artifacts is the Dreadnought from the original trilogy, the Anodyne Spirit, that big key ship that's kind of important in the series.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, eventually they would... Well, let's talk about the Stoics and Reformists first before we talk about what happened to the Anodyne spirit.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, you can imagine, evolving on your world with all of these mystical artifacts.
These really high-tech, almost magical artifacts from an alien race that's definitely not yours.
Yeah, so it almost seems like the gods left them there for you. So they kind of formed their religion around all of these artifacts, and two kind of factions broke off. And there were the Stoics, which were the traditionalists, kind of like we worship the Forerunner artifacts, but
don't touch them.
Yeah, any tampering with them, that is blasphemy. Don't do that.
And then there were the Reformists that believe that, hey, maybe we can learn from these artifacts, do a little re-engineering, and, learn and transcend.
Yeah. So there was a war. This is the War of the Wills. War of Wills. And the Reformists ended up fleeing Jandraquam on the Dreadnought.
And they ripped a chunk of the planet off with them.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of cool. In Broken Circle, they touch on that.
Yeah. It's the base of High Charity.
Yeah, they talk about like tree species that used to be on Jandraquam, now on High Charity.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. It's very interesting. So at some point, the Reformists also encountered the Hurgok. We don't really know when they did that. But they had not just the Forerunner artifacts and the Dreadnought, but they also had the IT support to go along with it.
Which is probably how they were able to so successfully re-engineer their the Forerunner toys that they had now.
Yep.
And probably the earliest encounters with the Hurgok probably were on the Anodyne spirit. It's kind of an important ship. It might still have a crew of Hurgok just hanging around.
I mean, maybe.
Yeah, that would be my best guess.
I like it. Headcanon accepted.
There we go. But after the Reformists were flying around looking for more Forerunner artifacts, they would run into colonies of these other aliens, the Sangheli, who we all know and love.
Yep. And it was peaceful, and they held hands and danced unto the sunset together in their new union of friendship.
We're kidding. The Sangheli beheaded the entire peace delegation that the Sanshium sent towards them when they first met.
Yeah.
That's one hell of a first encounter.
Yeah, because similarly to the Sanshium, the Sangheli also found Forerunner artifacts on Sanghelios and their other colonies. And kind of similar to the Stoics back on Jandraquam, the Sangheli considered the artifacts to be sacred and, don't touch them kind of thing.
Yeah.
It makes me laugh because I can see the Reformists being like, this again?
Yeah.
Didn't we just get through this?
How many times we need to teach you this lesson, Stoics?
Yeah. So the Sanshium and Sangheli go to war. It was the War of Beginnings, and it was pretty brutal. Sangheli had the physical advantage. They were great warriors, but like we said, Sanshium had big technological
had the bigger sticks.
Advantage. Yeah, the bigger sticks. So eventually, the Writ of Union was signed. So this is kind of the peace treaty between the two.
Yeah. Eventually, Sangheli, funny enough, also had their own sect of kind of reformists in the underground, the scientific underground.
Oh, yeah.
This movement of secret scientists, reverse engineering Forerunner technology. And then when the war was going bad, they kind of came to light. It's hey, so we know we're not supposed to do this, but we've been doing it anyways. Here are some, guns and toys that might help you stand a chance against the Sanshium.
Yeah, that's true. They talk about that in Broken Circle.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're kind of overlapping with the Sangheli a little bit too. But they kind of intertwine. It's hard not to talk about the other when you're talking about one.
Yeah. Right when the Covenant starts, it's because of those two. So the transition from pre-Covenant to Covenant times is going to be overlapping a lot. Yeah.
So the Writ of Union, it also kind of outlined each species' duties or positions, I guess, within the new Covenant. And the Sanshium were going to serve as the religious leaders. Yeah. And the Sangheli as the warriors and protectors of, the great journey.
The Sanshium.
Yeah. But it was kind of the Sanshium teaching the Sangheli, of the great journey, of the halo array, of, the journey to transcendence, basically.
Yeah. It's a lot of, hey, think the way we think. Hold the valleys we hold.
Yeah.
And, like, it wasn't a very smooth transition either, because there were a lot of Sangheili that resented the writ of union.
Yep.
The Sansheum stressed that you're not surrendering, you're just coming to your senses and changing sides. But a lot of Sangheili still thought, no, this is a surrender. This is a very not Sangheili thing to do.
Yep.
We see that. Whole thing.
Yeah. We see that in Broken Circle with Usa Zealous.
Oh, my man Usa.
His faction tried to rebel, and his clan.
Successfully,
and they had to go into hiding, but it worked out for them. Sort of.
It did.
Yeah, and their descendants, it worked out.
Yeah, but again, that is a larger topic for a different episode.
Yeah. So Broken Circle, that's a great book. Oh, can I say, whoever wrote the second part of the Broken Circle synopsis on Halopedia, what a great writer. What a fantastic wordsmith that person must be.
That part of the article is very, very well written. And how long do you want me to keep this video?
We can stop. It was me. I wrote it.
Yeah.
And I'm really proud of it.
You did do a good job at that.
Oh, thank you. I tried really hard. It made me realize just how much work goes into Halopedia. So if anyone's from Halopedia is listening, just major kudos to you guys and all of the work that you do, because that was not even one full synopsis, and it took me months.
Yeah, nothing but respect for you guys.
Yeah.
You do an amazing work.
Yeah. So I just had to throw a little Broken Circle humble brag in there.
You needed to pat your own back there.
Yeah, I did.
I respect that. That. You got to do it.
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of the Sansheum, but at this point we're now kind of getting into Covenant stuff. And again, this is an episode of pre-Covenant, so we can't go any further, Josie. We have to stop.
Yeah, we got to stop here.
Yep. So again with the Sangheili, we've kind of covered everything with the Sangheili.
Yeah, they, after the firing of the array, they rebuilt their culture, and they built up to the point where they were an interstellar species. They met Sansheum. Yeah,
exactly. So let's move on. Let's move on to the other species in the Covenant. And again, we're talking about going...
Worm?
Shut up. A worm?
A worm?
Funny you should say that.
Who's next? It's the Lekgolo.
The Lekgolo. These are the hunters.
The big armored pile of worms with an assault cannon on their arms.
Yeah, I'm trying to think back when I found out that they were all worms, that they were like a colony of worms.
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly when it was, but I do remember being shocked. They're what? I wasn't paying attention in 2001 playing the game.
Did they mention it in Fall of Reach? Because I
think they did. Probably.
I'm going to come clean. I think I read Fall of Reach before I really played Halo.
Really?
Like, before I sat down and I played it a little bit, but I didn't have an Xbox. Wasn't able to play it for myself.
That's dope.
So I read all of the Fall of Reach before I did a full sit down playthrough of Halo.
Wow.
CD.
That's awesome. I mean, technically you did it in the order of release.
Yeah.
So good for you.
I'm right.
You're right. So the Lekgolo, these guys they're so interesting. So we'll talk quickly about their prehistoric kind of roots a little bit. The Forerunners tried to use Thanolekgolo forms to defeat the Flood. So they were trying so many things to defeat the Flood.
Yeah. Thanolekgolo. There's a lot of different Lekgolo colony types.
Yeah.
And Thanolekgolo, are those the ones that were in Nightfall? The ones that were on the Alpha Shard?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. They're the ones that get really aggro at technology.
Yeah, exactly. So the Forerunners, the Lekgolo were reintroduced to the moons of Te, but I call it Te. ¿Tienes té? ¿Quieres té, Josie?
¿Quieres té verde con un poquito de limón y miel?
Yeah. We really can't say té without a Spanish accent.
I mean, you can't.
Yeah, maybe I just can't.
So after the firing of the array, the Forerunners reintroduced the Lekgolo to their homeworld, homeworlds, the moons orbiting Te, the big gas giant.
Yeah.
And over time, some Lekgolos started eating the structures themselves, those orbital stations around Te. So like, I guess they kind of like feed mainly on minerals, but
Yeah.
different ones eat different metals, different rocks, stuff like that. And then here comes the Covenant.
because some of the Lekolo were eating Forerunner constructs.
And other were eating around the constructs.
Yeah, and so there was just a complete debris ring or something around the planet's orbit.
Yeah, the Forerunner structures have decayed to such a point that now they're just dust orbiting the planet, making up the rings of Tay.
Yep. So then, the Covenant came into contact with them and saw them chomping on some Forerunner burgers.
Delicious
like,
heresy.
what
I
are you
say
doing?
Forerunner burgers, but you know.
Yeah, that's not right.
It's more of a flood delicacy, but
yeah.
Tomato.
Yeah. And they were like, hey, that's not good. We're going to war with you.
And to war they went. And were not doing so hot, turns out.
Yeah. The Lekolo had, A, the home field advantage, and B, strength that they've really never seen before. And I think this kind of counts as the Covenant's first defeat in battle.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the Legolo would just form up into the Mega Legolo colonies, and they could just stomp on any elite that tried going after them.
The Mega Legolo are hunters that we see.
Yeah, those are the hunters that we know in the game.
So Letgolo are really just the individual worm.
Mm-hmm.
So the Covenant dispatches none other than an arbiter. We don't know the name of this arbiter, but this arbiter travels across the system and kind of learns about the Lekolo's strengths and weaknesses. And this is kind of where they find out that some Lekolo are not destroying Forerunner artifacts.
Yeah.
So the arbiter is proposing to tame the Lekolo, incorporate them into the Covenant.
Mm-hmm. The ones that don't have a taste for Forerunner alloys.
Yeah. So, that iconic line from Halo 2, the taming of the hunters, the Grunt Rebellion, were not for the arbiter, the Covenant would have broken long ago. That's kind of what we're talking about here.
That was a good impression.
Thanks. My prophet impression. So I think it took some nuclear threats to, literally nuclear weapon threats against the Lekolo to get them to surrender.
Yeah.
So, but eventually the Lekolo were incorporated into the Covenant, and actually they were used pretty interesting. I didn't know this before we started looking up some information here. What did they use the worms for?
From what I remember, they sent the worms into Forerunner structures that they were aware of that they couldn't get into the smaller areas of them without prying them open, which would be kind of heretical to just knock a door down to go inside the structure. So they would send the individual worms to go and scout it out and see what they find and return with information.
I didn't know that. I thought that was really cool, and I don't know why I didn't know that, because it's quite literally a terminal from Halo 2.
I was about to say, in Halo 2 Anniversary, there's that terminal where they, I think they insert it into the Anodyne Spirit to try to talk to Mendicant Bias.
It's the Oracle.
The Oracle. Mendicant Bias.
We're in Covenant time here.
Mendicant Bias's shenanigans transcend generations.
Yeah, but he didn't respond, so they just it became a mundane kind of process of putting the worms into the interface or equipment on the Anodyne Spirit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because the worms themselves, they're intelligent, but they get more intelligent the bigger the colony is.
Yeah.
But they're smart enough to the point where if you send one in to go and look around and scout out and find information, and they'll come back and they can relay what they found.
Yep. So that kind of covers the Lekolo pre-Covenant era. It's very cool.
Oh yeah.
Next on the list is the Yanmei. These are the buggers, the drones, and these guys are the actual first ones to be incorporated to the Covenant in non-BC era. I think we're in what? 1112 now CE.
Yeah.
We haven't really been giving dates.
Mentioned the dates.
Yeah. The Lekolo were 784 BC into the Covenant. And now we're in the Yanmei, and they're at
1112 CE, yeah.
So their homeworld is Palamok, and there's really not much on these guys.
No,
they're
unfortunately.
just evolved arthropods.
They're big bugs.
big bugs. They are able to tinker with tools. They have pretty high levels of technology for who they are, what they are.
Which is, they're also like, I believe they're like a actual hive mind, like honest to God hive mind.
Yeah.
Which is really weird for a big sentient species.
Yeah, I believe they're matriarchal. I think they have a queen.
Yeah.
So very similar to just, bees.
Mm-hmm.
As with the Legolo, their first contact with the Covenant was pretty violent.
Yeah.
And the Covenant sustained pretty heavy losses due to the Yanmei's numbers. But eventually, they formed a treaty.
There's like a trend with just the Covenant losing battles of attrition here.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And they're the buggers' role in the Covenant was serving as mechanics.
Yeah, kind of like a lesser role than the engineers play.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like the common man's engineer, the Yanmei.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was only fairly recently, relatively speaking, in the Covenant that they were introduced in a combat role.
I didn't know that.
I think. I'm pretty sure, like, since Contact Harvest is one of, like, I could totally be wrong. But yeah, I know they were never primarily combatants. They were, like you said, engineers and mechanics and technicians.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. They're pretty fragile.
Yeah. I hate them. I'm just gonna say
I think
I hate them.
I hate fighting them.
There it is. I hate fighting them. They are my least favorite.
They're really interesting, and I want to know more about them, but I hate fighting them.
Yeah.
Please.
Exact same.
ODST has scarred me forever.
Oh God, seriously. So next on our list is Kigyar, jackals.
And they joined the Covenant in the year 1342 CE.
Yep.
So we're getting closer.
We're getting closer, yeah. So Kigyar are a clan-based society.
Mm-hmm. They're also matriarchal.
I have a side note. I have this memory of being at Outpost Discovery and talking to one of the actors who were acting as the
I mean, you mean one of the scientists?
The scientists.
Xenobiologists.
Yeah. The xenobiologist, one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking. Somebody had asked about the jackals, and she was so spunky and just they were. First of all, everyone at Outpost was wonderful, but she was just talking about how they're matriarchal. I bet you didn't know that. And the person was like, "Whoa!" And I was sitting there like, "This is so wholesome. I just love this."
It was really they were all so in character. It was fantastic.
Yeah, it just so every time I think about like Kigyar being matriarchal, I think of that person at Outpost. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure a lot of Kigyar history doesn't surprise many people. They were raiders. They kind of raided their own clan, or not their own clans, but other clans.
Mm-hmm.
They were pirates.
Pirates and mercenaries.
Yeah, so they developed space travel and they were able to establish colonies, but they just kind of continued their privacy, their piracy.
Yeah. Hey, if it works, why stop?
Yeah, it's kind of the bedrock of their society a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So Covenant arrive in their system. Surprise, surprise, there's a long naval war. They use their asteroid belts to kind of outmaneuver the Covenant in a lot of ways. But again, like the others, they formed a treaty and they were absorbed into the Covenant.
Yeah, but it's less of a come join our religion. It's more like, hey, we can use mercenaries, we can use pirates, we can use someone to secure our shipping lanes and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot more of a pragmatic relationship between the Kigyar and the Covenant.
Yeah. Is,
I think, really fascinating.
It's not so much based on the Kigyar saying, wow, I love your religion.
Yeah.
It's more of, more opportunities to plunder elsewhere in the
an
galaxy.
Economy in this galaxy that we can take advantage of.
Yeah. So that's kind of where the Kigyar settled into their role in the Covenant. They were low on the totem pole until
the Ungoi.
This is 2142 when the Ungoi were brought into the Covenant. The Ungoi's homeworld is Balaho. At some point, the planet's biosphere collapsed because of like over-industrialization. Like
Why does that sound familiar?
Yeah, gee. So by the time the Covenant finds them, they're still recovering from that collapse.
Yeah.
So they didn't really have much strength to resist in the first place. and they were subjugated pretty quickly.
Yeah, they less so decided, like, hey, okay, we're going to join you after all, and more so were forced to comply.
Yeah.
It's kind of really sad. Ungoi always do get the short end of the stick.
Yeah. These are grunts, by the way, if anyone was not familiar with the words.
The grunts.
Again, kind of like not surprising. That shouldn't really surprise anybody, I feel like. Just kind of the Covenant's just crappy treatment of them.
Although, early on in their history with the Covenant, I know this is pre-Covenant talk, but it's a fun thing to talk about. The Ungoi did rebel successfully, and it wasn't for the fact that the Covenant threatened to glass Balaho that the grunts were like, okay, we'll behave now.
Yeah. Again, it's the numbers. I mean, the thing that makes grunts so deadly is their sheer numbers.
Yeah. And I feel like the Covenant tend to underestimate others a lot.
Yep. And there was some conflict between the Magyar and the Ungoi, as there always is, as well. But that's a story for another time.
Yeah.
So now we've got the Ungoi kind of forced into those lowly positions within the Covenant.
Mm-hmm. And then that brings us to the next, and we could say last for now, but there's an honorable mention after them.
Yeah.
But let's, for now, for the sake of this conversation, let's say the last of the species to join the Covenant.
Everyone's favorite. The Brutes.
The Juralhanai.
Yep.
Big broody boys.
I knew that they had joined the Covenant last, or more recently. I didn't know that it was basically 60 years.
Yeah, we were talking about that the other night. That came as quite the shock to you.
I thought it was more like 200 years or something, but it's just 60 years since they've been
just 60
in
years.
the Covenant, which, I don't know, makes the Great Schism just more, this just makes more sense of, things just couldn't have lasted that long with the tension that they were at the point.
Yeah, for real. Like, in the grand scheme of things, the Brutes just joined the Covenant last week.
Yeah, relatively speaking, they did. I never miss an opportunity to say the homeworld of the Brutes is the planet of Doisak.
Don't you just love the way that rolls off the tongue?
I just can't get over it. It's one of those things in Halo lore that I just can't get over, that it's called Doisak. Like, it enters my brain on a daily basis. Okay, that's an exaggeration. It enters my brain on like a random basis in my daily life.
Are you okay? Do you need help?
I will be grocery shopping, like paying my bills, brushing my teeth, something like that, and it just comes in my head. It's like Doisak.
Doisak's not real. It can't hurt you.
I just laugh. I'll never get over it. But yes, Doisak is the homeworld of the Brutes. Their prehistoric kind of beginnings, they evolved from mammals that lived in trees. Similar to the previous species we talked about, they were divided into clans or packs, and were very warlike in their society.
They never really got along with each other, let alone anyone else ever.
In fact, they almost caused the extinction of their entire species in a terrible civil war.
They did what the Forerunners did to humanity to themselves, but in a much more low-tech way.
Yeah, kind of.
They nuked themselves back to the Stone Age.
The first immolation is the Civil War. That's the name of their Civil War. Which, were they expecting a second one?
Probably.
What, the first one? Anyway, but we're kind of seeing the two factions were kind of similar in with the Sanchayim, the Reformists, and the Stoics.
Yeah.
There was the Ratol pack or meta clan.
I think they're called Skynes.
Skeins.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were more primitive in their ideas.
Very stuck in their ways.
Yeah. This is Chieftain Rukt.
Yeah, it's where our other very favoritist boy Tartarus is from this clan.
Yeah. And then the other clan was, I don't know how to pronounce this.
The Veloth.
Veloth? Yeah, okay. Cool. So they were more sophisticated and like open to ideas.
Yeah, more willing to like try new things.
Yeah. But like you said, this Civil War regressed their entire science and technology back by hundreds of years.
Like, it's to the point that when the Covenant found them, they had just rediscovered radio technology.
Yeah.
So that's That's a hell of an uplift too, to go from, hey, we can use radios now, to we are a spacefaring people now.
Yeah, I mean, and so I think some of them were grateful for the technology, but I think others fought back, but they were quickly put down.
Yeah, that's probably the nicest way to put it.
Yeah, because if you think about it, like, again, your entire species has been devolved by a hundred years or hundreds of years or so, and you're kind of searching for meaning a little bit. So if you think about kind of the Jiralhanae at the point of when the Covenant found them, they were really looking for something to fill, like, you know, what is the meaning of life? And the Sanshium kind of flowed in, and they're like, it's the Covenant.
Well, here.
And they're like, oh, okay.
Funny enough, I think the Jiralhanae might have been like the least violent client race to be introduced to the Covenant, or like introduced in the least violent method.
Yeah,
because almost everyone else put up a fight, except for like the Jiralhanae was just those few people that resisted.
Yeah.
But for the most part, they were grateful.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. They quickly like adopted the ideals of the Covenant.
Yeah.
So those are the main species that we wanted to cover, that we're all kind of very familiar with, we being, you know, the player.
Yeah.
We do have an honorable mention.
Mm-hmm. The Yonhet.
The Yonhet.
We do not know when they joined the Covenant. We know their homeworld is called Yon. It's a moon of the planet. I don't know the name of the planet that the moon orbits, though.
Yeah, I don't know if we know the name of the planet, but it's a moon.
It's a moon.
These guys show up in Escalation.
And Nightfall.
And Renegades.
Yes.
And I don't know if they show up anywhere else.
Maybe. I'm not sure.
So, yeah, if you watch Nightfall, so these guys they're kind of similar to humans. They look similar. They've got gills, except
they're very humanoid. I think they're like vaguely amphibious.
Yeah.
They're the stock, we are good traders species.
Yeah. Right. When the Covenant first came into contact with them, I think they were pretty small in population, right?
Yeah.
There wasn't much military value to the Yonhet.
Mm-hmm. There's only so much utility they can get out of the Yonhet, the prophets realized.
Yep. These guys are part of the Covenant Fringe, which is more of infrastructure support rather than military, and they don't have any political power either.
Yeah.
We don't know any other species in the Covenant Fringe.
Yeah, but the existence of that phrase kind of implies that maybe there are other species.
Yeah.
Because, like, you wouldn't, like, come up with this whole designation simply for the Yonhet.
No, there's definitely more. We just don't know what they are.
Yeah. So it's a fun thing to have open in the lore of, like, we can introduce new species, new aliens, and say they're part of the Covenant Fringe.
You know what I just remembered? Cortana mentions them in her
in
galactic speech. Halo 5. Oh, and I think even Buck later on in New Blood or Bad... it must have been Bad Blood.
Bad Blood.
It must have been Bad Blood.
I haven't read Bad Blood yet.
He says something like, kudos to Cortana for calling out the Yonhet. He's like, those guys never get any attention or something like that.
Kudos to the new space dictator for being inclusive.
Yeah, kudos to Space Hitler. Oh, Buck.
Love Buck.
Yeah. But that's the Yonhet. I again, like, we don't really know when they were incorporated, or really kind of what kind of resistance they showed the Covenant.
If any.
Yeah, if any.
Hopefully we get more of them in the future, because that would... It's
really
always fun to just learn more about what we have already.
Yeah, I really hope so. So yeah, I think, you know, I definitely want to dive into more of each of these species. I feel like I wanted to go even more every time we talked about a new one.
Yeah.
But for this episode, we just kind of wanted to go through an overview of each one.
Yeah, just kind of list them out and like, hey, this is where they were before we met them. And we definitely want to go more into depth of each species, but which one we do first?
Let us know.
Yeah, let us know.
Tell us, because I could talk about any of them.
We really could, yeah.
So hopefully we'll see you in that future episode and other future episodes. But for now, thanks again for joining us.
Yeah, and since we're getting close to June, Lord knows what the state of things are in the gaming industry right now, but this is E3 season, so hopefully... There's that Inside Infinite, the last one, I believe, right? That's going to be coming out soon.
Yeah, I think the Inside Infinite, the last one, maybe soon.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, the summer will bring probably lots of news about gameplay and Infinite. So we're pumped.
We're super excited.
So excited.
So yeah, we can all keep in touch over Twitter, and we'll let you know what's coming up, how we're feeling about the new potential Infinite news, or maybe more lore talk. But definitely we're going to have things coming out soon.
Yeah. The future is bright with Infinite news. So, yeah, thanks so much for joining us, you guys, and we'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, catch you next time. Bye, guys.
Bye.